In the last part of the death game, we saw that after Choi committed suicide, Death, Yama, the god of death, gave him 12 lives. Out of these, he had to survive in at least one life until he died naturally. However, he had already died 6 times, leaving him with only 6 lives remaining. The last time, he died alongside his girlfriend. But the ending of this story, it's something you could never have imagined. After witnessing it, you'll only think one thing. If God exists, may he never give such a punishment to anyone. Now, we see Choi once again standing in front of death after dying. Choi is in tears because Park, the CEO of Taikong Corporation, had run him and his girlfriend over with his car, killing them both in cold blood. Choi makes a firm decision, he will kill Park. But just as he picks up Death's gun, ready to pull the trigger, he realizes something profound. You can't kill Death. No one can. At that moment, Death suddenly takes the form of Jisoo. Choi's eyes well up with tears as he looks at her. But deep down, he knows, it's not really Jisoo. It's still Death. So he asks Death to come in his real form. Death says, it is against my rules that you kill someone. You cannot kill anyone. After this, Death points his gun towards Choi and shoots him. This time when Choi opens his eyes, there is blood on his hand. He starts looking at that place carefully. There is a lot of blood spread there, which was stinking very badly. Then some memories come out of the bucket full of blood and enter Choi's mind. From this, he comes to know that the name of the person in the body he is in right now is Jung, who was an artist. But when Jung made a painting inspired by the death of a man, that painting was sold at a very high price. After this, Jung's greed increased and he started killing people and making paintings with their blood. Jung had killed more than 15 people by torturing them and made a lot of money by making paintings with their blood. Jung's paintings used to sell for millions. When Choi finds out about it, he gets very nervous. He starts vomiting. Then he takes out a sharp knife from Jung's painting tools and decides that he will use this monster to kill the monster who killed his girlfriend. Choi then goes to the place where Park killed him and Jisoo. He remembers that when he was dying, Park threw Jisoo's favorite pen in the gutter. Choi takes out that pen from the gutter. Then he also remembers that when he was dying, Park was telling his assistant, if Dad finds out that I was driving after taking drugs, he will fire me from the position of CEO. Park then tells his assistant to take this blame on himself. In return, he will give him a lot of money and when he comes out of jail, he will make him the CEO of his subsidiary company. Hearing this, the assistant removes the memory card of the car, which had the camera recording, and throws it in the gutter. The assistant then calls the police and says, I have had an accident. But Choi had heard everything between Park and his assistant before dying. In the present time, Choi reaches Taekwon Company to meet Park, but he is not allowed to meet Park because he did not have any appointment to meet Park. Then when he starts leaving Taekwon Company, his nose starts bleeding. He immediately goes to the hospital. There he finds out that Jung has cancer and he has only 1 month left. Choi starts laughing. The doctor asks him why he is laughing. To this, he says, 1 month is enough for me. After this, he starts going out of the hospital. When he gets a call from his manager, the manager tells him, Mr. Park, the CEO of Takan Company, wants to buy your painting. Now, the person whom Choi wanted to meet was coming to meet him himself. Choi reaches his art gallery, where Park is already present. Park asks Jung, who inspired this painting of yours? To this Choi says, the blood of 5 people. Park finds Choi's words a joke. Then Choi says, we both are exactly alike, who like to kill others. Park gets shocked after hearing this. But then Choi says, I was joking. Just then Park's assistant comes there to call him. She says, the chairman has called you. After this Park tells Choi, you send this painting to my house. Then he leaves from there. From there, Park goes to the church with his family to pray for the peace of his elder brother's soul. The chairman of the Takan Company, i.e., Park's dad, was also present there. Then Park remembers that when he was young, he tried to kill the child of a woman working in his house because the child cried a lot. His elder brother saw him doing this and told everything to his dad. That is why his dad made his elder brother the CEO of the company instead of Park. But now, when his elder brother died in a plane crash, his dad was forced to make Park the CEO of the Takan Company. While leaving the church, Park takes drugs and starts driving his car very fast. Meanwhile, 2 policemen start chasing him. When he stops his car, a detective named Whoa tells Park, blow into the drug machine and show your ID. Then he gives Park a challan for overspeeding. Then Detective Wu suspects that Park has taken drugs, so he pulls him out of the car. But this makes Park very angry and he calls the direct commissioner and says, one of your officers, named Wu, is misbehaving with me. Please tell him who I am. Then Park gives the phone to Wu. The commissioner abuses Wu on the phone and says, if you don't apologize to him and he doesn't forgive you, I will fire you. Woo starts apologizing, but even after this Park starts beating him very badly. The other officer who came with Woo wanted to stop Park, but Park tells him to stay away. So he just stands there and watches the show. After this, Park looks at Woo and says, "I like intelligent dogs like you." Then he leaves from there in his car, but Jung was standing outside the door of his house. Park asks him, "What are you doing here?" To which Jung, while cleaning his shoes on Park's Ferrari, says, "I came to give the painting." But Park feels very bad about this, so he punches Jung in anger and leaves. But Choi spits on Park, after which Park takes out a gun from his car and starts shooting at Choi in anger. Choi somehow manages to escape, but Park shoots him. However, Choi was not dead. He gets up and snatches his gun from Park. When Park asks him, "Why didn't you get shot?" Choi shows him his bulletproof jacket. After this, Choi kidnaps Park and takes him to Jung's lab, where Jung used to torture people and make paintings with their blood. Choi was about to torture Park on a stretcher like Jung, but then he himself faints due to cancer. When Choi wakes up, he finds himself tied to a stretcher. Then Park stands in front of him and says, "You made that painting with the blood of 15 people and you were right, we both are exactly alike." Then Park tells him, "I committed my first murder in an accident on the road. He was the same man whom you tried to save, due to which you were not able to concentrate on your interview." Park further says, "I enjoyed killing him a lot." After this, Park cuts Jung's leg with a chainsaw. Choi screams a lot and then tells Park, "I know that you killed your brother Jing." Park asks in surprise, "How do you know this?" Then Choi replies, "Because I was your brother in one of my lives." Hearing this, Park starts laughing loudly. After this he cuts Jung into pieces. Choi dies once again and reaches Death Yamraj. Now Choi had only 4 lives left. Death says, "You have tasted the pain of burning, the pain of falling, the pain of being stabbed, the pain of being crushed. Now tell me, does life still hurt you more than death?" Choi starts laughing at this. Death understands that Choi had died at the hands of Park intentionally. Actually, Choi had installed hidden CCTV cameras in Jung's lab so that he could show Park's real face to the world. But he could not kill Park himself because Death had forbidden him from doing so. After this, Death kills Choi again. This time when Choi opens his eyes, it is revealed that he is in the body of a police officer. That officer is none other than Ji Hyung, the same officer whose partner was killed by Park. Ji Hyung was running away in fear from a thief. Choi catches the thief and throws him down. Then Ji Hyung's memory and memories get absorbed inside Choi. Now Choi learns that his name is Ji Hyung. Ji Hyung's father was a brave police officer, but he died while catching a dangerous criminal. When Ji Hyung grew up, he decided to become a police officer like his father, but his mother was unable to get over her husband's death. She was afraid of losing her son as well, so she asked Ji Hyung to stay away from dangerous cases. Ji Hyung promised his mother that he would never risk his life in any dangerous work. Because of this promise, everyone considered him timid and cowardly. A few years later, Ji Hyung's mother also died, but even after her death, Ji Hyung's fear did not end. Meanwhile, Choi spots Kim, a former inmate who was in prison with Ji Hyung. Choi recognizes him and tells Kim, "Leave him." But Kim angrily says, "Leave him or else I will kill you." Choi replies, "You have done this before." After this, Choi stylishly catches Kim. Bystanders make a video of Choi's action and make it viral on the internet. In no time, Ji Hyung Choi becomes a hero. Seeing Ji Hyung's Choi video, his senior officer and the rest of the police team are shocked. They cannot believe their eyes that this is the same Ji Hyung, whom they thought to be a coward. Meanwhile, Choi Ji Hyung reaches Jung's house along with Detective Woo. He transfers the CCTV footage to a pen drive. Seeing the bloody atmosphere of Jung's lab, he immediately calls his senior officer and forensic team there. The forensic team reaches the spot and starts collecting evidence. They are now convinced that they have found the hideout of a serial killer. Ji Hyung's senior gets a little scared on seeing him and says, "Is there a ghost inside you?" But then he hugs him and praises him. Just then Park passes by Jung's house in his car. Choi Ji Hyung stops his car by gesturing. Park recognizes Choi and says, "Hey, you're the same officer whose partner I killed." Choi replies coldly, "Have you heard that criminals always return to their crime scenes?" Park gets a little nervous and says, "I don't understand." Choi smiles and says, "Nothing, you go the other way. There's a murder here." Park feels uncomfortable and quickly drives away from there. Choi watches him leave and thinks, "Your game is about to end, Park." But after catching such a big killer, Jung's name starts getting talked about, but Park starts to feel that Ji Hyung knows something about him. The next day, Choi gives the CCTV video of Park killing Ji Hyung to a news anchor and asks him to play it on his news channel. He had not given the footage to his team because his police team was suspicious of Park's intentions. Then when Choi arrives at the police station, he sees his mother coming to the police station. He learns that his mother had found a bag full of money, which she handed over to the police, but the police keep calling him again and again for investigation related to that bag. Choi thinks to himself that he increased his mother's troubles even after her death. Then he takes food for his mother and leaves it outside her door. But when he is leaving from there, one of Park's men stabs Choi, because the anchor to whom Choi gave the video of Park's murder had told Park everything. But Choi catches Park's man. The knife hit his hand. When Park finds out, he comes to the police station to meet Jung and tells him, "Delete that CCTV footage, in return I will give you whatever you want." But Jung refuses to take anything from him. Park asks, "Then what do you want from me?" To which Choi replies, "Your life." He then leaves, but Park then calls a conference call himself outside the police station, in which he says, "I have murdered a man who had killed 15 people. He had also gone to kidnap and kill me, but I killed him." After this, everyone starts considering Park as a messiah, who had killed a serial killer with great courage. Hearing this news, Choi gets very upset, because Park had very well turned his problem into an opportunity. The police also could not do any harm to Park and he gets released easily. After this, Park leaves in his private jet to go somewhere for a business meeting, but then the engine of his plane catches fire. Then when he goes and looks in the cabin, the pilot was also not there. He was the only one left in the plane. He starts looking for a parachute in the plane, but he does not find a single parachute. Then there is a blast in the plane and he falls down. But after the blast, by luck, Park himself gets a parachute in his hand. Then as soon as he lands on the ground, a car hits him. Then we see Choi. Actually, it was Choi who had got the bomb placed in the engine of the plane and the pilot jumping from the plane. After this, Choi starts killing Park by strangling him. While killing him, he was remembering Jisoo, but then the bastard death falls from the sky and stops Choi from doing this noble deed. Choi starts leaving him, but as soon as Park gets up and attacks Choi, his parachute opens and then a truck comes and hits him. Now we are shown the scene of the next day, where Ji-hang i.e. Choi was still alive and now he was working as an honest policeman. But while catching a criminal, he shoots both Woo and Choi. Choi thinks that once before also he had left Woo to get beaten up by Park and he is a family man. That's why this time he will not let anything happen to him. After which Choi catches the criminal to save Woo. But in the meantime he had been shot a lot. But somehow he falls down from the building with the criminal to save Woo. Choi dies again after falling from the building and once again he reaches near death. Now he had only 3 lives left, but this time Choi was happy to die because he became a martyr. Death shoots him again. This time he is alive in the body of a beggar. Then he is very happy to see the news of Ji-hyo's martyrdom on TV. People were very sad about her death, but then we see Park, who survived after that accident, but he lost both his legs. He was very happy to hear the news of Ji-hyo's death. Choi was going to Ji-hyo's funeral, but then he sees his memory coming back. But this time he wanted to avoid it, because he thought that maybe he would not die this time. But then he falls from the stairs and dies. Then when he wakes up, he is again near death. Now he had only 2 lives left and his usual death shoots him again. This time when Choi wakes up, he was in the body of a middle-aged man. He was going somewhere. Then he gets a memory, which tells him that he is an employee, who also has a wife and a child. But he had lost his job, so he comes in front of a car and commits suicide. But this life of his was not of the future, but of the past. When Choi was alive, actually, this life had gone to Choi's past life, when the same man died in front of a parked car in front of him and Choi tried to save him. Choi again died and reached near death, but now he had only 1 life left. Choi says, "Come on, hurry up." Death shoots him again, but this time when Choi wakes up, he is shocked because this time he was alive inside his mother, meaning that Choi's mother was next. Choi gets very upset and starts abusing Death by calling her a dog, a slut, a witch, and other filthy words. Then a memory enters Choi and he gets his mother's memory. From there he learns how his mother raised him by working day and night after his dad died. But when Choi died, what he went through, Choi could now understand that pain. Choi cries a lot and regrets his death. Choi says, "It hurts more when your loved ones die than when you die." We then see Choi applying pain medication to his mother's leg. Then he finds his mother's savings account, in which she was saving money to buy a house for Choi. Choi then goes hiking with his mother's body. He wanted to show his mother the place where his dad used to come for hiking. Choi's mother is very impressed by the view there. Then Choi apologizes to his mother that he left her, but she could not see and hear him. But while returning from there, Choi's mother falls. Choi does not let his mother die and pulls her out on the road. Even though Choi could nurse his mother whenever he wanted, the body was that of his mother, who had now become old and weak. The next day when Choi wakes up, he is in the hospital. He thanks his mother for keeping him alive. Now we are shown a scene of 32 years later, where we see that Choi is still alive in his mother's body, but for the entire 32 years he keeps feeling his absence inside his mother and keeps regretting it. Then one day Choi's mother dies a natural death. Then when Choi wakes up, he is again near death, Now Choi has no life left. This time Choi first flirts a bit with Death. He says, "Baby, I missed you so much," but after this he kneels in front of Death and says, "Can you give me another life?" He starts begging for another life. He says, "I want to hug my mother face to face for the last time." But then Death says, "You won. You died a natural death. So now God will settle your accounts." Death puts a bullet in his gun and rolls it and says, "I can give you another life, but it will be a death game. If the bullet doesn't fire, you will go to God. Otherwise you will get another life." As soon as Choi shoots, he reaches the building from where he committed suicide. And he also gets a call from his mother, meaning he had reached back to the place from where he ended his life. And at this time both his girlfriend and mother were alive. So friends, finally this story ends with a happy ending. How did you like this story? Do tell us by commenting, and if you have not seen it then do watch it by clicking on watch next. So, well guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you, goodbye.